Today I'm in Beverley in the East Riding of Yorkshire. It's a very beautiful town and of course a very historic town. Dick Turpin, the highwayman, was arrested at an inn just along the road there. The novelist Anthony Trollope stood, unsuccessfully as it happens, as the Member of Parliament. And of course Beverley's well known as the birthplace of the Beverley sisters. All right, I was kidding about the last bit, but I'm trying to find some way of bringing it into the 20th century because they've not only got this very fine 13th century minster, but along the road there, they've got a very fine 20th century cinema. And this is it, the Picture Playhouse. Oh yes, my goodness. It's certainly sort of mishmash of styles, though, isn't it? There's little bits of it. You see, look up at the back there. You expect to see somebody preaching a sermon from up there.
It was used as a church during the Second World War. Yeah, they couldn't black out St Mary's Church, which is just down the road.
Oh, I see.
So they moved the services into with the words to the hymns on screen.
So everybody sat in the cinema, follow the bouncing ball and sang along.
It was more comfortable in the church and warmer.
And yet, of course, you see outside it says Corn Exchange in letters on the front of the building. Now, at what stage was the transition from being a corn exchange to a cinema?
Well, the corn chandling continued until 1927, with the seats being taken out every Friday night, put back on a Saturday night for the Saturday evening show.
So it was part church, corn exchange,
Butter
cinema?
market at the back.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say everything beginning with C, but not with the butter market. Let's have a walk down here. I'd like to have a look at it from the end here. Now, Peter, you're the historian here. In fact, you've written a book, of course, on this cinema. When did it become a cinema? What was the transformation?
Well, the Playhouse became a cinema on the 20th of February 1911. And that was the opening performance.
And who turned it into a cinema?
Ernest Symonds. He was a portrait photographer in York. He came to Beverley in 1910, saw the Corn Exchange, thought it would make a grand venue for showing motion pictures because he'd become interested at this time. And he was a picture pioneer. Not only did he show commercial films, but he also made his own films. He would be out filming children leaving school, people leaving work, the tannery, the shipyard, and he would publicise the fact that these films were to be shown at his cinema. See yourself as others see you, on the silver screen. And this is what made the Playhouse successful in its early days. People came along to see themselves as others see them.
Experience counts in this work because one false stroke and a good piece of leather has been damaged.
Did you ever meet him or see him?
Oh yeah, I do recall on one occasion sitting on the balconies with my aunt and seeing Mr. Symonds going round to, well, almost fussing over these people sitting on the front row of the back stalls. That's the place where he used to stand because there were push buttons on the bottom of the balconies. And it was 1 for sound up, 2 for sound down, 3, get that picture in focus.
So you can imagine, here in the cinema, it's full of people watching, I don't know, Brief Encounter or something like that. But at the back, there's a shadowy figure. Ernest Symonds is doing what he calls checking the presentation. He's got a little button here that's connected to the control room upstairs, and bzz means turn the sound up. Bzz, bzz means turn the sound down. And bzz, bzz, bzz means check the focus. Now, I have heard that the cinema is haunted. I don't know whether it's the famous Mr. Symonds, but have there been many supposed sightings or experiences?
Oh, yes. Yes, I mean, everybody's quite convinced that Mr. Symonds is still here overseeing the place, and only comparatively recently one of the usherettes said she saw him in the projection box, passing to and fro. And I would swear to it, yes. Mr. Symonds is still keeping an eye on this place, and I think that's what gives it its feel. He still loves it too, I think.
It seems to me, though, that you are probably more of a fan of cinemas than cinema. I mean, the famous Mr. Symonds owned it for years and years, but where do you come in? You're only you and your husband were only the second people to run
Entirely
it.
by accident, as most things happen, of course. I mean, Mr. Symonds I did not meet but I knew of his reputation, a fantastic showman. And my husband was a showman too. He was a magician and he had other sources of income and so on. And so when I wasn't being squashed into boxes with John as a magician's whatever.
Did you get sawn in half?
Yeah, and headless ladies and legless ladies and all that as well. You see, bizarre life. But how it came about really was that when we came to Beverley, we'd never been in this building. It had never been open when we were here. This night it was open. And we came in and we both thought the same thing at the same time. This is a place that you fall in love with. Mr. Simmons must have given it this atmosphere, I think. And so it's, this is it. This is the place. We've got to have this. It's for us. It's ours. Please.
Do we assume that your husband used his magician skills to turn this into a thriving cinema? I mean, it has
we
become
kept it
one.
going, you see. We brought it back from being at a very low ebb for cinema, brought it back into the cinema world. The outside doesn't mean a lot to me, but the inside means a tremendous amount. You do tend to fall in love with it. People do. And you want to see it carry on.
Would you expect that this place would continue as a going concern?
Very much so. By introducing, as Barry Nettleton does, which is his genre really, the live side of things. That is ensuring the future of this cinema.
I used to promote groups and stuff before I went into the theatre. I mean, I put The Who on at the City Hall when we paid them £1,000, and that was my first experience of putting, I went in big sort of thing. That was in 1970.
Sounds to me as if you're in love with showbiz.
I've always enjoyed promoting, marketing, and actually seeing an audience enjoy themselves. And I think that was the challenge of the Picture Playhouse. The fact that, it run very nicely as a cinema for a long time, but there was an opportunity also, as well as the successful cinema, to put some live entertainment on in Beverley, in the East Riding. It's not an arts centre by any stretch of the imagination, and it's got its limitations, like the dressing rooms at the back. When people turn up and they say, where's the dressing, you expect them to be that way, back of the stage, but they're that way. So, people like Midge-Ure and, but...
Oh, not people like Midge-Ure. You're going to tell me... People
well,
like
he came in and where's the
away.
dresser? They're at the back. How do you get to it? You go through the audience. How do you get on stage? And we actually...
Well, how do you? Do you have to walk
You walk
in?
through the audience. It's great. It breaks down that barrier a bit. And he loves it. He loves the place. He's had a word with all his mates. People like Paul Young are lined up to play the place. So he's been twice now. Joe Brown's not so keen, but we're building him a dressing room, so that'll be fine.
And yet when you look, it's really quaint, isn't it? Because it looks as though it's been designed by somebody who obviously never seen a cinema before. You'd perhaps seen, I don't know, religious meeting places or music halls, but not actually a cinema.
It's been designed by somebody who goes to church, really, isn't it? They've thought, well, church works, we'll design it like a Methodist hall, so that's why we've got the charming little balcony, I think, at the back. It's quite a mix of styles, isn't it, from Art Deco through to Nouveau to sort of neoclassical. It's all there, which I suppose reflected the styles, of all the music halls. It's all been brought together, I suppose, initially by Mr. Simmons.
I wonder if you have any fears for the future, though. You see, we're still, to some degree, movie generation people, but the average kid today, they see a lot because they've got videos everywhere. They can go round the dials. They've probably got dishes outside their houses, but they don't come into cinemas much, I don't think. Do you think it might just go away?
There is a general concern. I think over the next few years, the technology is going to change again. It is changing now. So, but I think places like this around the country will always be there. If there's somebody who has the energy and the drive to keep them open, and people want to come along and see, and they do, because. As I say, I get people popping their heads in here and saying, I used to come here 30 years ago, and they do come back, and they want to relive those days. But they're coming to see modern movies. They're not coming to see movies of yesteryear. They're coming to see today's movies in yesterday's cinema.
Well, that's it then from the Picture Playhouse Beverley. And as the long-time owner and sometime ghost, Ernest Simmons, used to say, work in the morning, pictures at night, braces the system, keeps the heart light. But of course, I don't believe in all that ghost nonsense. Hang on, who's that old fella just walked in through the wall? Excuse me, we're not open till 7:30. I say,